Welcome to Booktopia TV Live. My name's Joanna Fleming. I'm a beauty journalist and one of the co-hosts of Beauty IQ Uncensored, the podcast. And today I am joined by skincare royalty, Caroline Hirons. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to chat to you again. Obviously, today we're here to talk about your book, Skincare, which happens to be the best-selling skincare title ever in the UK. Is that right? Amazing. Yeah. How does that feel?
Weird.
Yeah.
Just weird in like 4 months too. It's not like it took me 5 years to get here.
Yeah. Well, you had such success with your YouTube channel and your blog. What kind of made you feel like you wanted to amalgamate all of that information into a book?
Nothing. Nothing. People made me do it. And I say that because I kind of acknowledge, you know, the odd person who sort of said, well, there's a lot of content from the blog in your book. And I said, well, yeah, because people wanted the blog put into a book. So when I started writing, they give you the amount of words they want. And when I started writing, I thought, well, okay, if I make the backbone of the book the same as the blog, so I'll download all the cheat sheets and the beauty myths and I'll go from there and then edit those and see how we go. And then when I edited them, I had taken away like 10,000 words. And I was like, you're going backwards, Hirons. So once I tweaked all of that, that became the skeleton of what became the book. But yeah, I was reluctant for a long time because, one, quite lazy. I'm not a writer, I'm a blogger. So I'm a blogger that wrote a book. But it's not, let's calm down. It's not like a Daphne du Maurier. It's not a novel. It's, it's basically 20 years of work and almost put in cheat sheet form.
It's very easy to read.
Yeah, that's the kind of way. I mean, I wrote it the way my brain works, which is short, sharp, and snappy.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually, I mean, I had publishers sort of approaching me for years, and I was just like, I don't need to. I've got the blog. Yeah. But then what happened over the last few years is that when I would do events, readers of the blog would come up to me and go, this is my sister and my mum. They don't know anything about you, but they use all your recommendations because I tell them they don't really do online and they don't read blogs.
Yeah.
You should write a book. And so eventually, whenever enough people say it, you kind of think, well, if people want a book, then I'll write a book. I wasn't going to write a book for, the ego side of things for me wasn't there. I'm never been about, I want to be a best-selling author and I want to be in the Sunday Times bestsellers list and I want to make money and blah, blah, blah. It was never about that. I mean, someone said to me in the early days, no one goes into writing to make money. And I was like, I can understand that. That's good. So the long answer is I resisted it for a long time. It was torture writing it. I'm glad I did it.
I'm glad you did it too.
But it was really the readers who were like, can you just put all this in a book so I can then give it to my mate who doesn't really do blogs and only ever reads magazines or, things like that.
Yeah.
So eventually, once the readers started saying, why haven't you written a book? Then I listened to them.
Yeah, well, you got to listen to the people. You're just giving them what they want, right?
Exactly. Give them what they want.
And in the intro of the book, you mentioned that you came from kind of a background of your nana and your mum instilling a lot of skincare knowledge in you from a young age, remove your makeup and all of that kind of thing. Do you think that influenced you choosing a career in skin?
No, honestly, it was completely accidental. Weirdly, although they'd both been in the industry, I had never thought about it. As a career, I originally wanted to be a teacher, then a midwife, random. and then after I had our second son, I was in my sort of mid-20s and I needed a part-time job. And so I phoned a girlfriend of mine who used to work on the Clarins counter, and she was sort of the Clarins girl that I would go and see when I went for product because I was a long-term Clarins customer. And I said, look, I need a part-time job. I'm experienced in retail, but not particularly in beauty, except I'm a beauty obsessive. And she literally called me back and said, actually, they need someone here. Why don't you come and interview? And that was for Aveda in Harvey Nichols in the 90s. And on my first day, I thought, oh, this is so much fun. Like being on the shop floor, because obviously bearing in mind now, it's totally different now. We didn't have the interwebs. It was donkey and cart. And so everyone had to come into store to buy their product, And it was a different time, and it was just really good fun. And I was in Harvey Nichols, and we saw every famous person you can think of just as part of your everyday routine. And on the second day, I was on my own on counter because obviously someone phoned in sick, and it was a Sunday. And I took more on the Sunday on my own than the team had taken together on the Saturday. And then I was like, oh, I love this. I'm good at this. People appreciate it when I help them with their skin. And then I kind of realized, oh, a lot of what I'm saying, a lot of people don't know. So it kind of brought home how much my mum and the grandmother affiliation had actually taught me.
Yeah,
and that's why I decided to go back to school and actually get qualifications and have a piece of paper. Thank God. Let's be honest. Thank God, because without my qualifications, I would be an opinion-based person,
exactly.
as opposed to a qualified, insured pro, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as we discussed on our podcast, you know, sometimes having what would be considered a controversial opinion, you can get, you know, people on the wrong side. And I'm sure you've had your fair share of experience with trolls as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that most of our viewers will probably be skincare junkies like me and yourself. So I'm not going to get too basic with the questions, but I thought we could start off with the essentials in a skincare routine. I know that you talk a lot about the bookends in a routine. What are the absolute non-negotiables in any skincare routine?
Well, you're coming into spring and summer, aren't you? You swine.
Yeah.
Raining. It's literally raining.
Look, I'm in Melbourne, so it's freezing at all times. I've got my dressing gown on my lap, so.
Did you just say it's freezing at all times in Melbourne? Do you know what? Well, in Australia, we wouldn't, normally I would have to sort of preach it, but I don't usually to Australians, because the first thing you would say is SPF. You know, if you do nothing else, just get a good SPF. It takes a lot more to persuade sort of British and Irish girls to wear SPF these days. Actually, that's not true. They're better now. I say these days, I had that in my head as like the lifespan of the blog. In the early days of the blog, I was completely poo-pooed. But in latter years, and certainly when I've done events in Ireland and stuff, they're much more, oh, yeah, we have SPF 50 as a minimum, even on a cloudy day, blah, blah, blah. So SPF is a standard. And then it depends on your age, and it depends on your needs and your sort of your skin type, your skin condition. But a really good cleanser, something really good to wash your face. That does not include wipes or micellar water. They are makeup remover emergency products. A really good cleanser, depending on your age, a really good retinoid. You could look at a vitamin C. If I lived in Australia, I would definitely use a vitamin C, just for the sort of antioxidant protection. And also, if you're older, think of vitamin C as being C for collagen. You know, we need, like your skin is very young and bouncy. Mine could do with a bit of a scientific help. And yeah, you know, a nice moisturizer. It doesn't have to be heavy. You know, if you want to do it on a sort of basic budget, you're looking at a really good cleanser, a moisturizer, and an SPF. If you are, you know, if you, there's two, I always say there's two things, because people always tend to say, like, if you don't have the money, and I think that's actually really patronizing. A lot of people don't want to spend a lot of money on skincare, and that's fine. As long as they're doing the basics, who cares? It's not your business. You know, it's like when people say, I don't want to spend a lot of money on knickers. That is your business. I have no interest in your pants, you know? But if you're asking, you know, when people ask for sort of direct recommendations of product, that's when I say, well, actually, this one is a bit better. This is 57 quid. This is 7 quid. But I promise you the 57 quid one is better quality. So it's whether or not, you know, you have that trust with the reader long term. But yeah, I mean, in Oz, my basic at my age would be cleanser, mild acid, definitely a mist for the heat that you say doesn't exist. Eye cream, because I'm 51. I'll take anything around the eyes I can get. Vitamin C serum, retinoid serum for evening, moisturizer, SPF. And it sounds like a lot, but if you're buying one thing a month and you're only replacing as they run out, I promise you it's doable. I've done it I've done many a person an affordable routine for many a year. The problem I have with Australia, and it's not your problem, it's the problem of the industry, is that everything we send to you ends up being so expensive. And I'm hyper aware of that when I'm talking to Aussies and Kiwis, not to be politically incorrect. Can I still say Aussies and Kiwis? Is that okay?
I think you can.
If I can't, I'm really sorry. I say it with love.
Take offense.
No, I say it with love. Ever since Michael Hutchence appeared on the scene, I've been a true and true fan of Australia.
Well, we look forward to having you down here when you can eventually travel and bring the whole family and the grandkids.
Well, my eldest son, before he became a dad, he had done a couple of months touring New Zealand and Australia. And he basically, because one of my nephews lives there, and he basically just came back and he said, yeah, we're all moving to New Zealand and Australia. And I was like, no, we're not. And you're definitely not. When he was leaving, I said, look, I love them and I've always wanted to go, but do not fall in love with someone from the Southern Hemisphere.
It's a long
way. Don't do that to me, son. It's a long flight.
Yeah, it's a very long flight and an expensive flight as well. But it is beautiful here. I feel like you might get on the same page with him once you do visit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Now, let's talk maskne, because that's obviously very topical at the moment. I don't know what your mask situation is over there in the UK, but in Melbourne at the moment, we're having to wear masks everywhere we go. So a lot of people here are experiencing the old maskne breakout. What can we do about it? What do we need?
Well, I think it depends on a few things. I think firstly, because when it started, we all got like permanent sort of cloth masks that we could just wear. Turns out they're not that helpful against it. And you're supposed to wash them every time you wear them. Just no one with their best will does that. Yeah. So as much as they're not great for the environment, disposable masks are the way forward. They're fresh, they're sterile. And then in terms of if you need to wear makeup, I've sort of said, if this is covered, make the most of your eyes. Buy a better mascara, make the most of your eyes, do what I haven't done at 7 a.m. and do something with your eyes. And try not to wear too much makeup on the face, the lower half of the face, if you can help it. You're much better off doing your eyes and then using a bit of concealer on a brush and sort of going over what you need to go over. Don't put your lipstick on until you get to where you're going. There's no point, because all it's going to do is smear it all around your mouth, and it'll lead to things like perioral dermatitis, which is when you have the redness all here. And then in terms of if you have bad breakouts that you don't normally have, you can only really deal with them when you're not wearing the mask. So when you get home, whenever you get home, if you're a shift worker or if it's nighttime, morning, whatever, when you get home, you take your mask off, you have your shower, and then when you wash your face, you can use sort of cleansers with a little bit of salicylic acid in if you need to. You can buy treatments that have salicylic acid in, just to kind of spot treat rather than treating your whole face as if you have acne, because you don't.
Yeah.
If you look at the majority of people, they're having breakouts sort of near the mouth here and nothing on the forehead.
Yeah.
And nothing sort of down the sides. It's mainly around the mouth, because obviously around the mouth and around the nose, it's hot, wet, and dark, which is the perfect breeding ground for bacteria.
Yeah.
So you can't really put anything on while you're wearing the mask, because that will break the sort of bind with the mask. So and people have gone either way. There's some people who are drying out from wearing the mask.
I was about to say that. Yeah. What do you do in this situation where you are getting maybe a little bit of irritation and dryness?
The exact opposite. So when you've washed your face, you use something really mild and you use some kind of barrier repair moisturizer. I mean, Dermalogica make a brilliant product called Barrier Repair. It's quite silicone based, but it does sort of, you put it on and your skin immediately feels relief. But you can't really wear that when you're wearing the mask, because it's quite slippy and then your mask won't adhere to your skin. So it's that kind of fine balance between comforting the skin and then realizing that you might want to put something on. So you can spot treat underneath the mask. You can't really put like a really thick moisturizer on, because you're going to break the seal of the mask. You need something lighter, more hyaluronic acid based maybe, or glycerin based. Glycerin's always a great shout.
Yes, actually someone asked me, so I put a call out to my Instagram followers because they absolutely love you, and when I said I was interviewing you again, they lost it and they all wanted to send their questions in, and someone did ask, hyaluronic acid versus glycerin, discuss.
Well, glycerin would always be my first go-to, because you can use it on its own. You don't have to use anything on top of it. It's in most moisturizers. It's easy. It's cheap. It's a brilliant hydrator. Hyaluronic acid is good if you're going to use it with something else, but you can't really use hyaluronic acid on its own, because it can have the opposite effect and be a bit dehydrating. So probably glycerin 1, hyaluronic acid 2. but it depends on your skin type. If you have a really oily combination acne skin, you might be better with a really mild hydrating serum that contains a little bit of both, or that has a couple of different weights of hyaluronic acid, maybe not necessarily low molecular weight, but sort of a heavier weight, which basically means it kind of sits more at the surface, so it feels more comforting, but it won't necessarily aggravate what you've got going on underneath. They're both good ingredients. You know, they're both great hydrators. I'm not aboard the hyaluronic acid is the devil train.
Yeah.
that train is not for me. I think people who are on board that train are very young.
Yes.
And maybe don't need hyaluronic acid. But as I said, when you get to my age and your skin just loses the ability to retain moisture, you need something for it to grip to. So ideally, you would use a hyaluronic acid serum with a glycerin moisturizer on top. How's that?
Sounds great to me.
I'm not trying to sell you two products. You can get both very affordably.
You can. Like I have a number of products that have both ingredients in them, and I think they are a really good duo together. Another one of the questions that came through from my followers was eye cream / serum necessary or not?
Oh God, yes. Again, they must be young.
See, we had a dermatologist on our podcast recently, and she said, "Don't worry about an eye serum." And I thought,
how old was she? How old was she?
Oh, I'd say she was probably in her mid-30s, maybe.
Yeah, see, which, to be honest, if budget is a concern, and I say that whether or not you want to spend the money or you don't have the money, yes, you can use a serum and you can take it up to the eye. But if the only serum you're buying is a vitamin C, sometimes you can't take them too close to the eye because they can be aggravating. Yeah. Whether people at large like it or not, this skin here is slightly different to this skin here. So if I put a big, thick, heavy, I mean, I wouldn't, but if I put a big, thick, heavy moisturizer here, or let's say, for example, Vaseline, we know I wouldn't, but if I put Vaseline across my forehead and Vaseline down my cheek, nothing. It'll be on my pillowcase because it doesn't absorb. So it'll be on my pillowcase and I'll have a shiny face. If I put Vaseline here or here, my eyes would go because the mineral oil is so heavy around that skin, it's too much. So I love an eye cream because as you get older, you get puffier, you get darker circles, you get lines and wrinkles. So yeah, if you're 20 and 30 and you want to skip it, knock yourself out. If, however, you're 20 and 30 and you party and you drink and you smoke and you live a life, you may want to consider it. Also look at genetics. If your parents have really like heavy set eyes, hooded eyelids, lines and wrinkles, sort of, you know, we all get them here, like the smile lines. I don't want to get rid of my smile lines. I just don't want to look quite so dead when I wake up. And I'm always very, you know, I always say this is achievable. You know, if someone sends me a picture, I'll go, okay, there's not a cream on earth that's going to fix your dark circles. That's your genes. There's something, you know, you can have filler, and sometimes the filler will sit in front of the dark circles and slightly disguise it. But that's for a ocular surgeon almost to go, okay, or a good aesthetic doctor or nurse. Don't let people who aren't qualified mess with your face, please, with needles. To sort of go, oh, that would work. I can see where we would go in. They usually go in about here with a cannula up to there, and that's how they fill it. So I'm always aware of giving people, this is manageable, this isn't. And the best thing you can do for an older woman is give her a really good, I'm talking to the girls, sorry. The men I find don't tend to care as much about an eye cream. But an older woman, if you give her a good eye cream and a good concealer, it's life-changing.
Yeah. I mean, I love an eye cream, so I was never going to give mine up anyway, but
exactly.
I'm going to stay on the eye cream train now that we've had this conversation. Exactly. Another interesting question, which you may or may not want to answer, what products would you never use on your skin?
Oh, I can answer that. Know your audience. Come on. Cetaphil.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for backing that up for me.
If I was trapped on a desert island and I had Cetaphil or vegetation, I'd go into the vegetation and cut up some plants and see what I could make. St. Ives apricot scrub.
Yes, another classic.
Your face is not a French table. You don't need to polish it. Face wipes. Face wipes. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I used a face wipe actually on my face. I use them in other areas at festivals. Don't you miss music gigs and festivals? Just to digress. Oh my God.
I mean, I wasn't a festival person, but now that I've been...
I'm not a festival person, but I'm a gig person. I've only been to like 1 or 2 this year. Thank God I went to a couple in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, wipes. What else would I never put on my face? Oh, those pore strips.
Yes.
Why don't you just take a blade to your face and take it off? Yeah, my nightmare routine would be Cetaphil followed by an apricot scrub, then a pore strip. An alcohol-laden toner. Oh, I know. Clinique clarifying lotion number 4. We use that to clean counters in store.
Wow.
Sorry, if you've got a stain you can't get off, that will get it off. It's pretty much like nail polish remover. They won't mind me saying it. They know it is. Nail polish remover.
Come after you in a lawsuit yet?
No, they know. Nail polish remover, but very good for getting off fake tan. Top tip.
Interesting. The Clinique or actual nail polish remover?
Both, but nail polish remover is great. If you think you've had a really good cleanse or that you're a really clean person, this is really bad. I used to say this to people to win them over in store. Get some nail polish remover. I'm not endorsing using it on your face. And then lift up the back of your head and do it on the cross of your neck. And basically it just takes off dead skin cells at the back that you don't really wash off and shower, but it does freak you out temporarily. Again, I'm not endorsing you use nail polish remover on your skin. It's merely a nice little jokey thing and it won't cause you any harm. Relax. The point where anyone who's like watching this from my team is like, oh.
Yeah, trying to rein you in.
I want to sleep. It's fine.
You did mention that you worked for Clarins for a period of time. What are your favorite products from the Clarins range?
I actually ended up only doing like 6 weeks for Clarins because I got offered a better job, which is really bad, isn't it? But the training, and a week of that was training. So they did great. They were great training. And by then I was already qualified facialist. So I did their training from a facialist point of view. Mm-hmm. And it was excellent. The cleansing milks, so the gentian and the alpine herbs cleansing milk, I'll use forever. I always have them downstairs. My house is reversed. That sounds weird. I have one of those weird London houses where the ground floor is all the living room and then we're in the basement. With the tradesman's entrance out the front, it looks much posher than it is. But anyway, because every time I say downstairs, people are like, do you keep your things in the kitchen? And I have to just to save you answering that question. Yeah, Clarins milk, cleansers and toners. Oh, the SOS eye mask, the SOS serum. I mean, I could live off Clarins if I had to for the rest of my life. I am on at them incessantly to do a retinoid and then I could be happy. Okay, yeah, I'd like to see. They haven't done a retinoid, and then it's one of those. But now that Lauder have done one, Clarins will. I think. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Clarins and they're plant-based. It's more Cuccuccio based, but I'll take what I can get. Yeah, actually, that was another question I was going to ask you because we kind of touched on that in our podcast interview. Was the whole Cuccuccio retinol comparison? How are you feeling about that now? Has any more research come out to support that they're in any way similar? No, they're not similar. There was one study that had similar effects, but it wasn't done under sort of like a proper clinical setting. And it's, look, Cuccuccio could be a fantastic ingredient. My concern comes from 2 things. 1, it's usually used in a way that's not sustainable. It's a plant. And 2, it's not a retinoid. It's not. It's like everyone used to say rosehip oil is the same as vitamin A. And if you've ever used a rosehip oil and prescription tretinoin, you'll know that that is utter nonsense. So I think there could be some interesting products where Cuccuccio is included in a product with vitamin A. That would be interesting, and that's happening now. We see them coming out. And brands that I trust, like Medicate, they make a Cuccuccio product now. Yeah, the Cuccuccio peptide. I'm not anti-Cuccuccio, I'm anti-bad information. And telling someone that Cuccuccio is the same as a retinoid is bad information. Yeah. Incorrect information. If you're selling, and especially if you're selling it to like a pregnant woman, someone who wants to avoid vitamin A for a while, they're going to think there's something wrong with their skin. Well, this Cuccuccio isn't the same as my vitamin A. My skin's terrible. It must be because I'm pregnant. No, it's because you're using, it's like mayonnaise and butter. Yeah. A similar effect in a sandwich, but they're entirely different things. Your analogies are like my favorite thing. They're always food or rock band related.
I love it. Another question that came through was, other than wearing SPF, what skincare advice would you give your 30-year-old self?
Probably use vitamin C every day, because 20 odd years ago, we were still it was still fairly new.
Yeah.
To be honest though, I'm kind of the wrong person to ask, because I've had my routine pretty much nailed since I was a teenager. So what I would say is maybe take your diet more seriously before perimenopause hits, because when perimenopause hits, your metabolism goes on holiday and it's having such a good time that it does not come back. So it would be maybe less white food. You know, I always joke when I'm on live and sort of say, Jesus didn't make anything white. Think about it. Bread, pasta, rice, we did all of that ourselves. So maybe be a bit more careful with sugary foods. But in general, my routine is, I didn't overdo anything. I've always kind of listened to my skin. I didn't follow trends. I mean, I could throw in a bit of vitamin C, but 20 years ago, there weren't really that kind of finessed vitamin Cs available as they are now.
Well, you just mentioned trends there, and I think that's a really interesting point, because a lot of young girls get caught up on, you know, brands that they see advertised on Instagram, and I personally find that really frustrating, because I'm like, you just need the right information and the right products for your skin. You don't need this pink clay mask. It's not going to solve your acne. What do you say to anyone that is caught up in Instagram advertising or those kind of Instagram-y products and trends?
Do you know what? For me, the problem isn't Instagram, it's TikTok.
Wow. Okay.
Instagram isn't problematic. Instagram, for me, the problem with Instagram is California.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love LA and I love California, but my God, they don't spew some BS. And I can say BS because I'm talking to Australia, not California. But they, you know, they're the ones who started the everything is toxic.
Yeah.
Parabens are going to kill you. Aluminium deodorant gives you cancer. Not true. Like, literally everything. The anti-vaxxing movement came from California. Everything that I detest about the industry generally comes from the West Coast of America. And I love the West Coast of America. My mum's American, so I get away with it. But TikTok, and they have a far higher presence because they're sort of older, wealthier. And let's face it, they're sort of 30 to 40 wealthy white women for the most part. They just are. That's just a fact. TikTok is like Pinterest come to life. I'm like,
it's a good comparison. You're not wrong.
It is horrific.
Yeah.
Some of the advice on there, I mean, luckily some derms, and there's a couple of brilliant Aussie derms who have sort of taken it on and tried to champion the whole, you know, don't use this, all that kind of thing. And I am getting my act together. My daughter has loads of followers on TikTok, and she's like, you've got to get with it. I did one with her a couple of weeks ago, and the comments were really funny because we don't sort of talk about, like, I don't talk about like what she does on social, and she's kind of appropriately proud of me, but doesn't sort of go, my mum is like, she's still a teenager, you know? So when I did this, one of those, you know, put a finger down if you think your daughter ever drunk alcohol. And I'm like, but we did it. And the comments were all, is your mum Caroline Hirons? Now, forgive me, but I didn't think it was like a common name. And I talk about Ava all the time. So if her username is Ava Hirons, I would have thought maybe people would guess. I mean, we did together. The comments were, oh, this is why you've got good skin. It was quite funny. So I am coming to TikTok this year. It will taking me a while. Ava's trying to give me lessons, but I'm like,
as soon as you join, I'll follow you. Trust me.
But I'm gonna do it. I mean, I want to do it sort of like a gentle mother with a cashmere glove, rather than oh my God, what are you doing? There is the odd one though, but TikTok for me brings more crap to my door in terms of the ordinary 30% glycolic. That's a once a week mask for someone who's older and has signs of aging. You do not need that mask if you have acne. And yet TikTok is full of teenagers using it and then using a derma roller over their face. And it's not a real derma roller. It's a fake one they got off a third-party seller.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God. And Ava was showing me one. And she said, Mum, you should have done that as a reaction because your reaction is perfect. Because it wasn't like, you're an idiot. It was, oh, your face is going to burn off. Baby boy, what are you doing? And he kind of goes like this. And as he drops, and also, can we just stop the dropping from the dropper onto the skin? TikTok. So Instagram gets a lot of blame, but I think TikTok is taking in hand.
Yeah, look, I've been on the TikTok bandwagon since the start of Corona because that was all I had to do. And I must say, I have scrolled past quite a few skincare ones and thought, oh my God, I really, and then I opened the comments just to see what people are saying. And like, no one seems to be as alarmed as me. So
I think it'll be alarmed. But, you know, Hiram got 6 million plus followers on TikTok, and I think he's trying to save them once single-handed. Bless him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he may be the anti-fragrance brigade, and he is from Hawaii, which is west coast, USA. But at least he's not endorsing. You know, he's sort of factual, and he's coming from a good place, and he's endorsing people taking care of their skin.
Yeah.
And let's face it, he's made CeraVe a fortune.
Yeah, I know. They must be pretty happy about it.
I know. I spoke to them the other day because I had to put I put some CeraVe on because I do This Morning over here, the TV morning breakfast show.
Yes. I absolutely love watching that show because we don't have access to it here, but I love the outtakes. They're hilarious.
And on YouTube, you can always can you watch YouTube from there?
Yeah.
So I always put it on the blog when they upload it to YouTube, and I love it because they just leave me to go wild. I don't use cards. There's no script. They know they can ask me anything. And I'm not allowed to swear, so that's fine. Like here, I'm not allowed to go, are you kidding me? You know. Yeah. But we have a sort of a good run of, like, I have to use mainly affordable products because the most people at home, if you say this serum's 60 quid, they go, what? It's only if you get into the joy of using skincare and then you kind of think, oh, maybe it might be worth it for me. And I'm always the first to say, don't credit card your skincare. You can get affordable. So CeraVe is a brand that I've used a lot to the point where I'm on tomorrow, and I've had to say to them, no CeraVe. Like, they're going to think I'm being paid by them, and I'm probably not. But I had I put the SA cleanser on there because it's amazing, and CeraVe said that thanks to Hiram in the States and me over here, they're quite comfortable now.
Yeah, I bet they are. I love that you mentioned.
We sell completely different products. So the SA cleanser is now far and away CeraVe's best-selling product in the UK. And then in the US, it's something that Hiram's recommended, probably the foaming or the hydrating cleanser. Yeah,
I've used the hydrating cleanser and love it. I think that's a great range to get people onto. And as you said, like, I feel like you've just got to get people on the bandwagon. You've got to get them seeing results. And then once they've seen the results, they're more likely to buy into it and upgrade and buy more expensive products.
Yeah, and you don't have to go crazy. You know, you don't have to go. I mean, the reason I put in the book, I put, you know, routine by age, routine by skin type. Do you need this? No. Is this a nice to have or a must have? And it all depends on your age and your income and what you choose to spend your money on. You know, I have women who say to me daily, more on Instagram, I would never spend £20 on a cleanser. But if I look at their Instagram, they're on holiday in the Maldives and they have Prada and Gucci handbags. And I think, well, that's how you choose to spend your money. All power to you. It's your money.
Yeah.
But don't have an expectation of me that I will only ever recommend something that's under £10 because I won't do it.
Yeah, totally. I'm a bit bougie, so I'm often recommending things that are quite expensive. Pretty much everything in Australia, though, is expensive.
I know it is. I really feel for the Aussies. But have you noticed, though, this will be interesting to see if you've noticed, they don't care if it's makeup. If it's a Pat McGrath palette or a Tom Ford lipstick or an Hourglass foundation, oh, we have to spend that because that's quality. But skincare, they want cheap.
Yeah. But also, I'm always asked, like, oh, so is there a cheaper version of this serum? And I'm like, if there was, wouldn't I be using it? Like, why would
I spent 10 years railing against dupes. Yeah. The odd one might be similar, but it's very rare for a dupe to be a true dupe.
Yeah, exactly right. I do have one more question for you. What's your favorite professional treatment to have in clinic?
Oh, well, I need something that works, as in gets down to it. I can't just have a lovely chilled facial massage. That's not going to do it for me. I mean, it's nice and I'll snore all the way through, but I need a bit of laser. I need high frequency. I need all the machinery. So I need something like Teresa Tami or Joanna Vargas, like people who use their hands a little bit, because I can do the hands myself, but they use their hands to kind of feel where you need the work. They use their experience and their eyes to look at your skin like I would and go, okay, so you're dehydrated here, here, and here, and you need this. But they like the machinery. Give me all the machinery. Anything that basically will lift and tighten. Like a good bar.
Yeah. I'm on the Laser Genesis bandwagon at the moment. I don't know if Laser Genesis
nice work.
Yeah.
Nice work.
I just love it. It feels like it's not doing anything. It's like warm raindrops on your skin. And then you're like, later, you're like, whoa, I look amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I like machinery. And I'm weird. I mean, for someone who's a qualified facialist, at least I knew early on that I didn't want to do body. I'm not interested in body, and I don't like having body massages. I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, that is a bit strange.
I'm a weirdo. I didn't want to. The last time I touched a fanny was when I waxed one in my exam. Can I just put it out there? They don't mind in Australia. They'll be fine. And I did it thinking, I'll never have to do this again. I will never do this again. But it's a shame because I'm brilliant at waxing, brilliant at nails, but always was more interested in this. Always was interested in this because that's what gives, in my experience, that's what gives people, and especially people who have skin problems, the most joy. And when someone says to you, I mean, when I first started doing treatments again about 4 years ago, the first few through the door were people who had acne. And some of them I referred to sort of certain derms and said, I'll work alongside the derm. Some of them, it was the first, and they cried on the treatment bed because it was the first time someone had taken them seriously. So I didn't go, oh, you haven't got acne, you're fine. I sort of said, right, how long have you had it? When is it worse? What products have you tried? And we went through the whole thing, you know, and then it would be, okay, I do think you need a derm, or I think you've been using the wrong product, or, you know, everyone has a sort of different array of reasons and causes for everything that happens on their skin. But for me, it was always head and shoulders above. Never wanted to do a bum massage in my life.
Or wax another fanny. No one wants to be doing that.
No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that. I mean, if I was skin, I would open a waxing clinic because you can just be like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah.
But no.
I have one last sneaky question.
No problem.
I have a lot of people ask what age they should start using a retinol, and I feel I need to get the answer from you.
Again, there's not a one size fits all. So when I was fortunate enough to go to Yale with a brand who source a lot of their science from Yale. And one of their dermatologists there, who's obviously a top consultant board dermatologist in America, that's their sort of levels, said that she would put everyone on a retinoid from like 20 and work them up to 1%. And me, and there was like Nadine Baggett, who you know, and like there was a few of us on the trip, and we were all looking at each other like clutching pearls, like, oh my God, 1% of 20, why? And then you realize it's country by country. It's very US, New York, specific, like that top eastern corner of New York, like so almost porcelain skin. They would quite like it if we looked like this, like a mouse. Shiny, nothing wrong with it, like almost see-through.
Yeah.
And then when you speak to other people, other doctors, like Dr. Marco Lenz, he's been looking at, and Dr. Dennis Gross, they've been looking at more recent research that does show that, yes, you can turn over your skin at a sort of an ultimate point. Like you come to a point where your skin goes, I've got nothing left to give. The Hoover bag is full, you know? So I'm always wary. I always think if you're in your 20s, live your life, babe. Use an SPF, and then you won't need to start a retinoid earlier. If you're in your 30s, basically, by the time we're in our early 30s as women, our hormone levels start to change and your collagen starts to decrease. So 35 plus, if you haven't already, I would say invest in a retinoid. 40 plus, you absolutely need to be on that bandwagon. And 50 plus, the train left the station and you're now playing catch up. But you can do it. A retinoid and a good facial oil and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer. Love that.
You know, equally, if you have that's all for anti-aging, let's not forget. If you have acne, use it as early as you like. I mean, it was made for acne. It wasn't made for old bags to look younger. It was made for acne. So if you have acne, follow the advice. I'm sure your doctor will prescribe some, and then ignore me because you're treating something. Whereas the rest of us are being vain. Let's face it. They're like, oh, where's my see-through white skin on my case? Obviously it has the same effect on a darker skin tone. But I would be hesitant to recommend it. Like if my daughter came home at 20 and said she was going to use a vitamin A, I'd say, no, you're not, take it off her.
Yeah.
But if you smoke and drink and party, and if you're in Australian sunshine all the time, you may need to do it earlier. Use an SPF, live your life. When you get to your mid-30s, think, do I still look quite as bouncy? Should I give myself some help? Then bring in a retinoid.
Yeah, great answer. Love it. I could honestly ask you questions all night, but it's very early in the morning. You probably want to.
I'm going to make more tea. I'm going to hang around, so you're welcome to stay.
Put the kettle on and we'll just stay here and chat.
Exactly.
I did want to ask a question about mixing glycolic acid with retinol.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Because that seems to be quite a contentious topic at the moment. I know a few brands are mixing those ingredients together, and obviously when they're formulated together, that's a little bit of a different story. But if someone's using a glycolic acid and then using a retinol on top, what are your thoughts?
I'm not a fan of certainly I'm not a fan of mixing ingredients from any product, whether they're the same or together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the mixing and the cocktail. I hate all that. I hate it. If you need to mix it with other products, why don't you just make one product that people can use? Yeah. Why try and sell them 2 or 3 that, you mix them together? Well, no, you do the work for me. That's your job. You're the formulator in the brand, and then give it to me. That's how I like it. Thank you. I did mention I was lazy. But I wouldn't, the reason I think people are concerned about using glycolic and then a retinol together, I think people who do that have a general fundamental lack of understanding of science, because glycolic is the smallest acid molecule. It's designed to penetrate deeper. So a lactic will do this and just sort of surf. It's like Pac-Man. It cleans the topical side of your skin. Mm-hmm. A couple of the other acids go a little bit deeper, but glycolic does this, which is why when we do like a heavy glycolic peel in treatment, you have to neutralize it because you have to stop it from penetrating. Now, vitamin A, on the other hand, an oil-based vitamin A does this. It's like a lactic acid. It just resurfaces. It's nice and gentle. You're gonna wake up with a glow, but you're not gonna wake up going, oh my God, my face won't move. But a stronger vitamin A is designed to do this. Now, if you have 2 things doing this, your skin is going to go, what are you doing to me? What did I ever do to hurt you? So I would say to people, if you think you need a glycolic, once you're on a prescription retinoid, I don't think you need a glycolic acid. Personally, you might find you're better off with I use the CeraVe SA cleanser because it's really gentle. It is salicylic acid, but it's made to be really gentle. Mm-hmm. I can't use it more than 2-3 times a week. I don't use it twice a day. My skin would fall off because it would be too much, because I'm on a stronger nighttime regime.
Yeah.
Regimen. Everyone says regime and you think, hang on, that's like some kind of warmongering country. Right. It is early. Cut me some slack. So don't mix in your hand. Don't do that, because then all you're doing is making both formulas confused. Why would you do that? You apply them separately. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like saying, we'll do another food analogy. Instead of making a club sandwich, you just blend it all and then you put it between bread. Oh, ignore me, I'm plugging in. You blend it all and you put it between 2 slices of bread and it's the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, Australia, I'm now plugged in and ready to go.
She's like right now.
Don't mix them. However, again, it's different. If you have a nice glycolic acid that isn't super strong, not the ordinary, that's has its own audience and its own need. If you're using a gentle daily glycolic, and then you're using a retinol ester, which is any kind of vitamin A, but it's in an oil base, your skin might be quite nice because it'll be gentle. They're not too harsh. If you're using like a 25-30% glycolic and then putting a really strong retinol on top, your skin is going to go, why? What did I ever do to hurt you? Mm-hmm. So don't be so aggressive. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. Good skincare is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. I'm going to take that quote as my last quote for the evening because I don't want to keep you the whole day, but I definitely could. Thank you for joining me on Booktopia TV, Caroline Hirons. You can purchase Caroline's best-selling book, Skincare, at booktopia.com.au now. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope we get to
Thank you. Huge thanks to all of my Aussie and Kiwi readers in the Southern Hemisphere, because the minute the book went on sale, I had all of the, are you going to sell in Australia? You better be available in Australia. And I'm literally like, no, we definitely will. And then, the publishers were like, oh, yeah, no, we're going to Booktopia and it's don't worry, we'll be there. So thank you so much, because we have such a massive audience in Australia. Every time I have a kit sale, the Aussies, we changed the last time the kit sales went live because I realized Australia was in bed when we had done it previously and I wanted to be fair.
That was nice of you. Thanks for thinking.
I just want to say a massive thanks to all my long-term readers from Oz. I am very, very appreciative, and I will be able to see you as soon as I can.
We'll continue to worship you from afar.